I give the floor to the distinguished representative of Cuba.
Gracias, señora presidenta.
Thank you, Madam President. My delegation would like to endorse what was said by Egypt on behalf of the non-aligned movement. During this morning session, we will be able to analyze a report in which it was found that the government of Israel has failed to investigate complaints and facts in the context of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. For example, it was confirmed that Israel has not launched any investigation on the so-called Operation Cast Lead, despite the multiple violations of international humanitarian law and international human rights law. In the meantime, the government of Israel continues its aggressive policies against the Palestinian territories. The provocations, the attacks to the Gaza Strip, the enlargement of the illegal settlements in East Jerusalem are a clear sign of the lack of respect of Israel for the Human Rights Council. The blockade imposed on the Gaza Strip and its negative humanitarian consequences, as well as also the attack of the so-called Flotilla of Liberty, are examples of the genocide policy that Israel applies against the Palestinian people. Cuba condemns in the strongest terms these actions and calls for the immediate end thereof. The construction and the enlargement of the illegal settlements, the confiscation of Palestinian land, the continued existence of the wall, the change of the demographic makeup of the population.
I apologize. Please continue.
Gracias, señora presidenta.
Thank you, Madam President. The construction and the extension of the illegal settlements, the confiscation of Palestinian land, the continued existence of the wall, the changes made to the demographic makeup of the population, the demolition of houses.
So, Ambassador, do you have a point of order? I asked the U.S. Ambassador, did you have a point of order? Microphone, please.
Hear me? Yeah, there it goes. We just wanted to underscore the point raised earlier by Israel about asking delegations to engage in discourse that is expected and warranted in this body, and the use of the word genocide we don't think was fair. Thanks.
Thank you. The representative of Cuba, you have the floor. Thank you.
Gracias.
Thank you, Madam President. The language of this forum is the language of truth, and nothing that what is being said here runs counter to truth, and that's why our delegation considers that the intervention uses language appropriate for this forum. Cuba condemns in the strongest terms these actions and calls for the immediate cessation thereof. The construction, the enlargement of the illegal settlements, the confiscation of Palestinian lands, the continued existence of the wall, the changes brought about in the demographics of the land, the demolition of houses, the excavations, the imposition of arbitrary and racist restrictions to movement throughout the occupied Palestinian territory, and especially within and just around East Jerusalem, are practices which must immediately come to an end. The blockade to the Gaza Strip must be lifted completely, failing which the situation of the Palestinian people will become even worse. The situation of the Syrian Arab Golan continues. Occupied Golan continues to be an object of concern. The occupation of Israel continues to violate the human rights of the Syrian citizens in clear violation of the international obligations that it should fulfill as an occupying power. Israel must fulfill the resolutions of the Security Council of the General Assembly and the Human Rights Council adopted on this matter and withdraw from the occupied Syrian Golan. Madam President, to conclude, Cuba reaffirms its unequivocal support to the cause of the Palestinian people and its noble and legitimate aspiration to establish a free, independent and sovereign state of Palestine within the 1967 borders and with East Jerusalem as its capital. This resulting solidarity we would like to express with regards to the just claims of the Syria and Lebanon and the other just claims of the Arab and Islamic countries occupied or threatened by Israel. This is a truth that cannot be hidden. Thank you.